Randall here. Don't forget to like and subscribe, like and subscribe, like and subscribe. Tell a friend. Today, I wanted to go with something a little less stressful, something we all can use help with, I'm sure. What is that? Investing. Simple, beginner level, easy to understand, basics. Most people think about investing, but they realize it's an uncomfortable situation because generally it's not something taught in school and it's not something most people know much about. Well, when it comes to investing, there are simple things that you can use just as a basis to start understanding a little better. Number one, what is the goal? What is the purpose of the investment? The goal is going to be what determines how you move forward. So we have to set up a goal and understand once you give the money a job, because the goal is essentially giving the money a job. Once the money is given a job, you don't get to take that money away until the job is done. So once you've reached the goal, then you can use the money. So you can't have it so you get in a pinch and you're like, well, I'm just going to take a little bit of this. You'll never reach your goal doing that. So step number one, figure out the purpose for the investment and make sure that you set the goal and give your money a job. Number two, how much risk are you willing to take? Different investments are going to have different cost points. They're also going to have different amounts of risk involved inherently. So you have to figure out how much risk do you want to take on for the return on investment that you're seeking from whatever you've invested in. So the more risk you're willing to take, potentially the more profit. So your job is to figure out how much risk you're willing to take for the maximum profit that you can get. Once you have an understanding of how much risk you're willing to take, you can move on to step three. Step three is simple. How much can you afford to invest every month for at least a year? Why a year, do you ask? For investment like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, you have to hold the investment for at least a year, so it's counted as a long-term capital gain if you sell it and make money. What that means is, whereas if you wait less than a year, let's say you brought it today for $1 and tomorrow it was worth $2 and you sold it. Well, yes, you doubled your money, but because you kept it for such a short period of time, the government's going to consider that a short-term capital gain, which means you're going to be taxed exactly as you would if you went to work. And when investing, personally, I would want to make sure that I'm getting to keep as much of my money as possible. So you want to make sure that it's a long-term capital gain. With regard to things like real estate, you actually have to keep it for 3 years before you sell it. Generally, a lot of times with real estate, you have to keep it for 3 years and live in it. However, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to try to keep things as simple as possible and not get into a lot of the detail. Real estate's a different ball of wax unto itself. Well, for capital gains purposes, anything you invest in that you don't keep for at least a year, if you sell it, you get taxed at ordinary income. Ordinary income means whatever your tax bracket. So if you're in the 30% tax bracket, if you're in the 20% tax bracket, I'm talking federal and state combined, that will be taxed at that rate. Now, what do you want to invest in? Do you want to invest in stocks? Do you want to invest in bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, real estate, gold? Well, how much you can afford to invest is going to dictate a lot of that. Many investments have a minimum threshold to even join in. For instance, most mutual funds have a minimum investment of $1,000. So you have to have $1,000 before you can even start buying. Some mutual funds won't let you buy in unless you have $10,000. ETFs will allow you to buy in at market rate, but they fluctuate more in price. Stocks and bonds can be borrowed on the open market, so it just depends on what individual company you want to purchase. And that's a lot of research that goes into that. So make sure you understand which one you're doing. When it comes to investing, I cannot state clearly enough that most people will probably need to have professional help. And professional help doesn't cost as much as you're probably thinking. Most people will say that they assume that getting a financial advisor is going to cost them tens of thousands of dollars. It's not true. Generally, unless you're looking at millions of dollars in assets, a financial advisor is going to be pennies on the dollar. I mean, if they make you 10% and you pay them 1.5%, you still made 8.5%. As opposed to you can try it yourself and prayerfully you do well. But if you don't, the barrier to entry is expensive. Don't forget to tell a friend, like and subscribe. I'm gonna try to make sure I keep Fridays my goal is to keep Fridays a little bit more light. No need to be so stressful all the time. If I can be of assistance, let me know. Corporal Randall.